Hi, everyone. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, August 8th, 2023, and this is the regular governing board meeting of the Litchfield School District Governing Board, as along with an executive session we will be having at the end. Thank you for joining us. I hereby call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is going to be the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please stand and join us. Thank you. Next, we will take a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Next up, we are going to move on to our recognitions, and we are going to start that off with Mr. Nuanez.
Madam President, governing board members, Superintendent Davidson, community members present and online. Tonight's celebration is going to be one of kind of on a grand scale here. Tonight, we are going to celebrate all of our new and returning teachers, our support staff, administrators, our parents, and most of all, our Litchfield learners. This collective group of nearly 1,500 strong is key to the educational success of our students, and I myself am extremely proud to be part of the LESD 79 community. With over 10,300 students, our dedicated administrators, teachers, and staff will lead our students on their journey of educational excellence. Over the past few weeks and leading up to day one of school, our teacher and learning department conducted comprehensive training for our new teachers and provided new content, choice trainings for our veteran teachers, and nearly all of our 6th through 8th science teachers have completed their amplified training. In our food service department, Chef Ron and his team served almost 4,500 healthy and nutritious meals on day one, unlocking the brilliance through the power of a fed brain. We held our very first middle school summit, which was a complete hit. I mean, this was one extraordinary event. Executive Director Benjamin and Superintendent, let me try this again, Superintendent Davidson kicked off the event where there was a massive flow of information, of ideas. It was like a raging river out there, unlike the really dry ones we currently have here in the Valley. So, and last but not least, I would like to celebrate our governing board members, all of you that sit up on the dais. Your presence at the various events, including the first day of school, is monumental in showing your immense dedication to this district. We look forward to a great 23-24 school year and the success and growth it will bring through teamwork and collaboration, because together we can. Thank you.
Thank you. I concur with all of that. We are very excited to get this school year started, and all of those people are very important to what we do. So thank you so much for that. We are going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is creating the vision of the Litchfield learner. And this is going to be presented by Mrs. Benjamin. And Dr. Doozy, thank you.
There we go. Now it's on. All right, good evening, Madam President, governing board members, Dr. Davidson, our greater community present and online this evening. Mrs. Benjamin and I are here tonight to present a very exciting update on our progress of reestablishing our strategic plan for the next 5 years. As you know, the current strategic plan ends at the end of this year. So where we begin is our vision of our Litchfield learners. So this is aligned to our upcoming strategic plan, as it will be the foundation for the future strategic plan. To know what we're building, to know what we're being strategic about, we must know what our end result will be by the end of 8th grade as we transition our students from our K-8 organization into the high schools that they'll be attending. Litchfield Learner is a lot similar if you've heard of the program called Portrait of a Graduate that high schools often will do. High school districts and high school standalone districts will collaborate to define what skills and readiness that students must have by the end of high school to be successful in college and career. Litchfield will be looking at what skills and readiness students need to be prepared for high school. This will be the guiding beacon, and it will transform into what our strategic plan will look like and what strategies and action steps and key performance indicators that we will need to implement to accomplish our vision of the Litchfield learner. So the how are we going to accomplish this? We're going to do this together, because just like when we heard together we can. And we are going to accomplish this by inviting our stakeholders, and Mrs. Benjamin is going to share with you the process that will take place over the next few months to incorporate all stakeholders to define what the Litchfield learner current skills as well as readiness will look like by the end of 8th grade. So then we can then work backwards all the way to our preschool to know exactly where our kids need to be each year to successfully become the Litchfield learner that's in our vision. So Mrs. Benjamin will share with you now what that'll look like over the next few months.
So our hope is that we will start this work in August and we will be back with you in January. In the meantime, between August and January, we will form a committee. That committee will be the driving force to seek all stakeholders' feedback. We want to make sure that we have classified members, certified members, administrator, parent, guardians, and community member on that primary committee. That does not mean that all the other voices we will not be gathering feedback from, but that will be the committee that will be bringing our Litchfield learner back to you. In October, we want to make sure between September and October, we will create a survey, and we're also going to be making sure that we're reaching out to our site councils. So site councils will be able to provide feedback as well as the work through seeking feedback in surveys on what our community is looking for our Litchfield learner. In November and December, once we have that survey data, that team will come back together and look at all of the information that was collected. Based on the findings, we will formulate a recommendation that's presented to the district leadership council, the administrative team, and then our administrative team will come back in January to provide you with an update on the Litchfield learner. Part of this process will be seeking your feedback as well through the surveys, and if you are a part of a campus site council as well, you would have an opportunity there to provide your input. We also are working with Agua Fria on a growing graduates. And what this is looking at our 8th graders and how we can help prepare them to be 9th grade students. So we've already started some of this work with Agua Fria. We do a fast track with our students who are ready for Algebra 1 in 8th grade. We're also hoping to expand this opportunity next year and look at possibilities of a foreign language. There's some science opportunities as well. We're keeping it wide open to see what works for Agua Fria as well as what works for our students. And we're in the spring, we are having 10th graders in the Agua Fria School District will be a part of their core curriculum to be able to work with our students in 8th grade and start providing answers about what to expect in high school, how to get involved, how to be a part of clubs, and making sure that we're preparing our 8th graders to be a growing graduate.
So the Litchfield learner will play a pivotal role in our upcoming writing of our strategic plan by giving that end in mind so that we can work backwards in creating that strategic plan. It is aligned to our vision as well as it focuses on student outcomes, which is why we're all here. Stakeholder engagement is also involved in this process. System transformation, in that we have an end in mind and we're working backwards to create the strategic plan and what the steps will be needed to accomplish our goals. And then decision making as well. When we know what we're looking for, we know how to be strategic about it. And then lastly, because we know what we're looking for, we can also build in that progress monitoring as well as accountability to look at what's working and what's not working and be able to make adjustments to our strategic plan once we have that up and running at the end of the school year. So lastly, we'll just leave you with some vision, just to let you know what we believe this looks like, is that it will be our underlining and unifying guiding force that ties everything together. It'll underpin the strategic plan. It ensures that we're cohesive, comprehensive, and it will shape the district's decisions with all of our stakeholders' input to empower our student success and engage our learners, our Litchfield learners, in continuous improvement. We'll take any questions at this time.
Thank you for that. Ms. Moran, do you have any questions or comments about this presentation?
Yes, I do. I would like to start off by saying I love this. I love that it is student-centered and student-focused. That is, as Dr. Doozy stated, that is why we're all here. I gather from this that this is kind of phase one, if you will, of the strategic plan process. Can you tell me more about you're going to come back to the board in January, hopefully with the picture of the Litchfield learner, and then when would you expect to come back to the board with the actual strategic plan? Will that be kind of second half of the year, or tell me more about that time frame?
That's exactly what we are planning for. We have not finalized that timeline, but the hope is that we will start that same work in November, December timeframe to start building committees. We also want to do some Super Saturday work and making sure that we're getting all of our stakeholders' feedback for the strategic plan work. So the end in mind, the goal would be that we would bring the strategic plan back to you in either May or June based on the work that that committee is doing.
Excellent. Okay, I have two suggestions based on my experience with the development and adoption of the previous strategic plan and my years of service to this board and seeing many, many surveys that we've sent out. On slide 6, you talk about sending out a survey to get stakeholder feedback. I would like to see us partner with a consultant or someone who's an expert on the survey questions, the wording, the types of questions, et cetera, to ensure the integrity of the feedback, that it's non-biased. I just think it's really important, if this is the foundation of our next 5 years of direction, this feedback is so important to that process. And I want to make sure that it has integrity and that is the best possible feedback we can get so that we are making the best decisions for this foundation piece. And then my second recommendation is, or suggestion is, before you come back to the board in January with your final recommendation, it might be a good idea to get feedback. It sounds like we're going to partner some with Alafria. So get feedback from Alafria, what they think about that, make sure that's tying into what they need. But also, I don't know who this might be, but if we could get some other third-party feedback to make sure that we are not in our own bubble and silo creating this Litchfield learner, make sure that we really are thinking about all the things that need to go into this. So some outside party feedback outside of our district administration and even our stakeholder feedback, I think would be an important piece to make sure that, again, this is the absolute best work that we can do.
Thank you, Board Member Moran. We have had the privilege of already working with Agua Fria, and this is where a lot of our work has stemmed from, is their portrait of a graduate and how we can bring this to our K-8 districts, supporting the work that they do as well. But we will take that, and we do have an opportunity to work with a consultant on some of those surveys, so we can definitely do that. And we will be in contact with the Agua Fria team that did their portrait of a graduate as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Owens, did you have any questions or comments about this presentation?
Thanks. Can you tell me how the 12 to 14 members are selected? How that happens?
That's a great question. So we would put out information to all families and stakeholders to see if somebody would want to join. And then from there, we would just want to make sure that we are seeking people from all of our schools and departments. And so looking at that, we know that if we have a team of 40, it's really hard to make decisions that way, but 12 to 14 is really a nice number to be able to make some big decisions. We do want to make sure that we are pulling from our Title I schools, our non-Title I schools, and our different departments as well. So it would really be making sure that we are looking at the whole picture and trying to get as many different people from all different places as possible.
Thanks.
Mr. Honak, did you have any questions or comments about this?
Yes, I got excited when I heard you talking about the 10th grade, but I don't think you need to wait for the 10th graders to come with a curriculum. That's a good idea. But I think we have such a cultural shift right now that the children really need to understand why learning math. Like I just spoke to somebody, the other day, and they were going, well, I never used calculus and whatever. And what the person was doing was estimating was intensive math. And they were doing a lot of it in their head. I mean, it was just square footages, but lots of them in different conditions and things like that. And I convinced them, it's logical thinking. And forcing yourself, if you're training for, to run or do the high jump or whatever, you do a lot of training on things that you're not necessarily going to use when you do it. And I think that's important, not everybody's going to be a genius at calculus or whatever, but they need to know it. And I think the biggest problem we have right now is kids honestly are just not taught how to think. They're used to, social media, which is really lying to them that it's not important, and they're using their smartphones and computers and whatever and everything they can just Google. I mean, exceptional people are too lazy to do problems. They just type it in or chat GPT or whatever. So I think it's really important to convey to kids that you're going to be in 10th grade, and after 10th grade, you're going to be in 12th grade, and somewhere you go to college or whatever, someday you're going to be out in the real world. Okay, the real world is not what all this boils down to. Okay, it really isn't. And so I really think that you're on the right track. I would turn it up an order of magnitude. If we really want to stand out, and there's no reason why this district, just sitting there going, oh, wow, we're a little better than the state average, what we do. The state average ain't great. It's Arizona. But there's no reason why it can't be. I mean, there's all those resources. So I'd say go at it. I'm not so interested in feedback so much unless it gets to sexualizing kids and, garbage like that. But the problem with a lot of Arizona is that a lot of people here in Arizona have gone to Arizona schools. So they don't know what a really good school is like. They don't know. They see what was best in the school, and it's mediocre compared to a lot of places in terms of good schools. And that's why we're, really welcoming out-of-state people. I think at one point try to make a push to get out-of-state people. And then you go to ASU, and ASU has some really good stuff in there, but it's also, so I think as a school district, we have a duty to try to break the mold and go, and we can do it. I look around and everybody I see here, this can be done. It's just, nobody made the 4-minute mile until one person did it because everybody went, it's impossible. And all of a sudden somebody did it. And then I think 12 people ran it. Now it's just commonplace, so sorry to be so long, but you got me excited. Okay. So it's your fault. Okay. With the with the setting the sights a little higher with the higher curriculum, go. You know, I will encourage and support in any way I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go Devils.
Ms. Clymer, did you have any questions or comments about this presentation?
I think most of the things were covered. I will just say, this is really good work. Thank you for digging in and doing it. I think the opportunity to partner with our FRIA just sort of opens the door for us, whether it's curriculum or shared resources in terms of staffing or just knowledge and all of that kind of stuff. So I think it's great to use what's literally next door to us to help our students be better for where they're going in the future. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I echo the concerns of Board Member Moran regarding the surveys. I think all organizations and everyone struggle with this, right? You know, kind of to your point, Dr. Juziev, start with the end in mind. What do we want to know from these surveys? And let's try and design them. And we get better and better over time. But if this is going to be the main mechanism in which we collect feedback, we need to make sure they are as good as they can possibly be and get the best information that we'll actually do something with or can do something with. So I do encourage you to try and figure out whether that's internal or external resources that can make that the best it can be. I also want to just request, and not right now, but that there be some sort of really strategic communications plan that really underpins all of this with the community. There's going to be a lot of community members that probably don't have the time to commit to a couple of Saturdays or a couple of days a month and be on the actual committee, but they still want to know what's going on. So utilizing our website and social media, I'm sure Sam is all over this, but just making sure that there's a lot of people that do want to know what's going on, and we can show the process, but we can also show progress over the year. And I think it helps engage those folks that might not have the time or the bandwidth right now to be involved at that level, but maybe there's some other opportunities where it's not quite such a commitment. And I know we did that with the strategic plan the last go round, where there was a committee that was in charge of it, but there were also other opportunities that you could get together. So hopefully we'll be able to embrace that and allow other, lots of opportunities for people to do that. So one thing I will say, I echo Mr. Honek's sentiments on advanced curriculum partnering. That makes a whole lot of sense, right? We have a lot of kids that are prepared for more, and that's great to give it to them. We have a lot of kids that aren't prepared for more, and we just need to keep in mind that this Litchfield learner should be every student that is here. And so those kids that aren't ready for the fast track or the accelerated programs, we still have really high expectations for them. So I know you guys are, again, all over it. I'm sort of saying it out loud to make sure that parents and everybody knows that we are not going to create one system where all kids have to be on this accelerated path. There is room for every student here, no matter where they are on that spectrum. And we want them all to be successful and reach their potential. And hopefully by the time we hand them off to Agua Fria, they are, have reached that potential here in the 8th grade. So anyway, kudos. Thank you for the good work.
I do not have any questions either, but this presentation makes me very excited. I love the idea of the begin with the end in mind, because that is going to set us up for what our strategic plan should look like. And it has us have concrete goals of things we can work towards. I agree with Mr. Honek and Ms. Clymer as far as the advanced stuff. I have the kids that were ready for more, and maybe didn't get to have that because we were only able to do so much. But I also agree with Ms. Clymer because I have the student that's not. And so making sure that we are creating a learner that anybody can be, and understanding that every kid is reaching their best potential, right? And so what a Litchfield learner looks like might be a little different from kid to kid, but that our ultimate goal is to make sure that every student reaches their highest potential that they can. So I know that we do that really well here in this district, and I just want to make sure we keep doing that. Thank you so much for putting the time into this. I'm very excited to see what this looks like. It was one of the things actually Dr. Davidson had talked about actually when we were interviewing him. So it was one of the things I loved the most that he talked about. So I can't wait to see how this comes together and what that looks like for our strategic plan going forward in the future.
Thank you.
We are going to move on to our next item on the agenda, which is going to be community opportunity for comment. We have one person. So if Mr. Finnegan wants to walk up, I will read the disclaimer. Pursuant to, sorry, Arizona Revised Statutes, ARS 38-431.01H, this agenda item provides an open call to the public, allowing individuals to address the governing board on any issue within the jurisdiction of the board. Items not listed on the agenda may be brought to the governing board's attention under this section of the agenda. Due to the Arizona open meeting law, the governing board cannot discuss or take any action on items not listed on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01H, response to public comment about matters not appearing on the agenda will be limited to individual board members who may ask staff to study the matter, respond to any criticism, or ask that the matter be put on a future agenda for further consideration and decision at a later date. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes, and no more than 30 minutes will be devoted to the public comment portion of the agenda. When you approach the podium, please state your name for the record.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Finnegan. Before we start the clock, I just wanted to say I believe the Litchfield learner can be a success if you begin to develop a culture of high expectations for all students. Okay, now we'll start. The staff shortages are crushing LASD school district. This week, LASD welcomes back everyone to another challenging school year. Tonight, I call on the school board to address the impact and rectification of teacher, instructional aides, and transportation driver shortages that are overburdened and reasonably penalize existing educators, support staff, and students in the classroom. Tonight's agenda has an unprecedented LASD contract request with Agua Fria Union High District 216 to assist LASD with its transportation shortages. This will incur an estimated $150,000 expense, possible overtime, and a per mile mileage rate yet to be determined, and this is only for 1 year. I suspect this arrangement, if successful, will morph into a new yearly arrangement with additional routes and costs. LASD route dispatcher resigned after 6 months. It's in tonight's staff turnover report. Why is Agua Fria's transportation needs fully staffed and able to assist LASD with 12 routes? Does LASD receive financial compensation for their vendors' inability to provide services? Yes or no? And if no, why not? Moving on, certified teachers are being paid stipends to cover classes during their prep periods when a teacher is unavailable. In the last 2 school years, 988 periods were covered, costing $24,700 in stipends. No wonder teachers complain about not having enough prep time. LASD principals are reluctant to give teachers a negative performance review when 5% of unperforming staff is the norm, because they are desperate to keep the staff they have. This clearly explains why 502 out of 508 teachers last year were rated highly effective and giving a performance bonus totaling $2 million. Unfortunately, these staff shortages are falling most heavily on the students and placing them in a bad environment. Would this administration and school board members describe the current staffing shortages as very severe, moderate, or adequate? I request the extent of this problem be put on a future school board agenda and presented for all to understand. How can you ask taxpayers for $50 million bond dollars for a new school building when you are unable to staff your existing needs? Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is our consent agenda. I will go through and see if anybody has any questions or wants us to pull anything off. Ms. Moran, did you have anything you wanted to ask questions about or pull from the consent agenda?
I do not have anything to pull, but I do have one question on item 5. I guess we're doing numbers now. Sorry. 5.9 certified personal employment.
Okay. Mr. Owens, did you have any questions or anything you wanted to pull off of the consent agenda?
I do not. Thank you.
Mr. Honak?
No questions.
Ms. Clymer?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay, I do not either. Ms. Moran, if you'd like to ask your question.
Yes, 5.9 is our certified personal employment position change with new contract rehires. That's going to be our teachers that we're hiring. My question is for Executive Director Reichs. Currently, how many certified positions do we have open and unfilled?
Good evening, Board Member Moran. Thank you for your questions. So currently, as of this evening, we have 14 open certified positions, 9 of which are classroom, and 4 of the 14 are contracted guest teachers.
Okay, thank you. And how many certified positions do we have in total approximately in the district?
That is a great question. I do not have that total right in front of me. My apologies.
No problem. I know in the past we've used about 600 as that number. So that looks like
That would
we're
be
at,
right.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I agree. That would be a good estimate.
Okay. So it looks like we have 2% of our openings. So I just wanted to talk about that to hopefully address any of our public commenters' concerns that it doesn't really look like we have a lot of classrooms that are going unstaffed. And I know that most of those positions will get filled here shortly. So we will continue to keep the public updated on where we are with those positions. And this is a great place to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, if someone would make a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Moran,
Aye.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mr. Honak,
Yay.
Ms. Clymer.
Yay.
I'm also a yay, and the motion passes. We will move on to the next section of the agenda, which is our action items. The first item is going to be discussion and possible action to approve the Arizona School Board Association's draft 2024 political agenda, and to direct the district's delegate to attend the ASBA Delegate Assembly as our representative. This is me. So in our agenda, it's got the draft that ASBA has put together based on the feedback. When we talked about this before and we sent in our feedback, this is what they came up with. So this is our opportunity to discuss if we agree with the changes that they want to make or we do not. And then once we decide on that, that will then tell our delegate how they should vote when they go to the assembly in September. I will start with Ms. Moran. Did you have the opportunity to go through it? And did you have questions or anything you wanted to say about it?
Yeah, I did have the opportunity to read it, but I was not certain what we were supposed to be doing with this, to be real honest. So, so you're saying we're supposed to, as a board, say what we do and don't like about this document?
So basically the draft agenda that we received, that ASBA sent out to us is what it's going to, this is what they're proposing at the delegate assembly in September. And the only thing that they are going to be voting on at that time is the items that are in red or any of the changes that they're making. Everything else that's in it is staying the same, so they're not changing it. So we're supposed to vote on whether or not we agree with this draft the way it is. We can say we don't agree with certain parts, or we agree with the whole thing, or we agree with none of it. It's totally up to our board how we want to go with it. But then based on that, that will then tell our delegate how they need to proceed when they attend in September on our behalf.
Okay, I'm not prepared to wordsmith this thing, but I mean, I'll give you my feedback on each of the high level points. So do I agree with adequately and equitably funding district schools to at least the national median per pupil funding? Yes, I can get behind that 100%. Do I agree with preserving and strengthening local control? Absolutely, that's what I'm here for. Do I believe in improving outcomes for all students? Yes, I do. Requiring public accountability for taxpayer dollars spent on education? Absolutely can get behind that. We don't have a rural or remote school, so that doesn't really apply to us. I'm not opposed to that. However, do I think school safety and security needs to be funded? Absolutely. That's what we're putting on our bond as well. Do I think ASBA should be doing some federal advocacy. I could go either way on that one.
Okay. Mr. Owens, did you have comments about the draft agenda?
Yeah, I too was kind of not sure what we were supposed to do. I thought we had basically a list of things and we were supposed to pick out 5 and we voted on them and then submitted them. This just looks like a list of stuff. So, I mean, I get that a lot of, I mean, I discussed this the first time these were all brought up about, in theory, all of these sound great, right? Like, who doesn't want, if we had all the money in the world, we could do all these things, but we don't have all the money in the world. And, you know, there's, I also don't understand, like, if we change a word or we don't like one of these things, we're going to send it to ASBA. We're one of how many schools in the ASBA? So, I don't understand why they need our approval. I do take issue with some of these in that I would like to know the how, as opposed to just, we would like this done, and not knowing a how impacts my decision to support some of these things. So that's my feedback.
So, in response to your, like, there's over 200 school districts that are part of ASBA, and not all 200 school districts will be there. It's going to be who shows up, right, to vote that day. And as somebody who's gone before, sometimes they get real sticky about words, which I agree. I don't have time for that personally, but some people, that's very important to them. We did submit our choices that we had voted on before. And so this is just basically, once they took all of what everybody gave them, this is what they drafted up based on that feedback from all of the districts that sent stuff in. And there's a lot of things that are staying the same that are black, so we don't even have to worry about that because that's all the same. The only thing that they will be voting on at the delegate assembly is the changes or things in red. So it's just up to us if we support this or we do not. And then they're going to vote on it at the delegate assembly. And if they have enough votes, then that's what ASBA is going to support. If they don't, then they're not. Having attended them before, expect that there might be some small changes potentially to some of these, but not a lot.
So do they go line, number by number and get a hand count and then say approved, or do they draft the whole thing?
So it won't be the whole thing. They'll generally go like section at a time. They'll go like a section at a time and go through it. And then anybody that has any changes they want to make to it, if they've gone through it and they have like, I want to change this or I want to take it out, they can make those motions there, and then they have to have a second, and then that gets voted on, and then you vote on it. You'll, as our delegate, if you go for us, they'll give you a little clicker thing. That's how you vote. So that's how they track all of it through an electronic voting.
But like I mentioned earlier, right? Provide full-time funding for preschool programs, fully fund K-12, fully fund, give money here, send money here. How? Where does this money come from?
I understand what you're saying. I don't think it's saying that they're going to do this. It's just that when they are going out and they are lobbying with our legislators, they're going to lobby for things that will support these actions. So they're going to lobby for things that will support fully funded kindergarten, things like that. So that's just, this gives them the list of things to know, okay, this is where we're going to focus when we're talking to legislators. I agree. Where is it going to come from? Are all these things going to happen? They're not. And I think we all want them, of course. I think it just gives them the backing of their delegates to lobby on our behalf. Mr. Honak.
I mean, it's a wish list, but I don't really have any. I'm going to make my comment when I vote.
Okay. Ms. Clymer.
I don't have any specific comments. I mean, having been through this process before, yeah, I think that it's it does look like a wish list, but I sort of see it as guardrails. This is what they know are priorities of the schools within their association. And so while they're certainly not going to accomplish all of these, or probably even a handful of these in a year's time, I think it just gives them a guideline as to their lobbying efforts, their communication efforts, their partnership efforts, things like that. So yeah, I agree. Not all of these things are going to be done, or they would have the mechanism in which to do them. But I think as things come through the state legislature and other places that might affect public education, they know by and large what their member districts' priorities are and what's important to them. And that's just this is just an easier way than calling up 200 school districts and trying to figure it out. So I agree, it's a little overwhelming, but I think that these are just the guardrails in which they walk between as an association that represents so many members. So I don't have any questions on this. I think this is fine.
So is there anything in here that anyone is super opposed to that we would not want to vote yes on? Or that's basically what we have to decide. Do we support this as a whole? Do we support some of it? None of it? That's what we have to decide.
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Warner.
So, I mean, I'm going to vote no on it because 99% of it all is wonderful. You know, everything sounds good or whatever, but there's stuff. I don't trust the ASBA at all, and for a lot of reasons. And like one of the things in it that is really deadly for me is a no-go is that they want to have school boards have absolute authority. The legislature have no authority over what's being taught. So that means if the school board, which this one has fallen in the trap of want to go down the woke road and you know, with Ibram X. Kendi, you know, everybody's a racist. We got to teach elementary school kids, you know, that, you know, if they're white, they're an oppressor. And if they're black, they're whatever. I'm not making this up. It was in the first equity statement. And I got shouted down and told I wasn't on the agenda and all this kind of stuff, which was all false. And, but just having a simple thing in there saying that the governing board, the legislature cannot overrule the governing board, that's, you're going to let 5 people that maybe are all crazy decide whatever, you know, they're often in the weeds, and they are in the weeds. Look, I'm going to applaud right now this school district. It has completely changed. It's doing a great job. Okay. I was totally jazzed and excited about the curriculum. So I don't want to be the Mr. Bad Guy, whatever, but I also have been there, done that. And the governing board is the group here that does call the shots. Okay. And all you need is a majority. You need 3 people on the board. And if they're all into woke, you know, garbage, which I think most of them are, they've repressed it a little bit. You got a danger. So the ASBA is totally into the woke thing. They are. I mean, they're like any other organization. The majority of them are, you know, off the rails. And so, yeah, they've got some reasonable people and everything, but that right there is saying if the legislature says you can't teach certain things, or you guys can't go around sexualizing elementary school kids or whatever, this is advocating for, nope, legislature can't do anything. It's all in the hands of the board. Sorry, rip it up. Everything else in it is just bull crap. It is a wish list. Okay, that's all it is. It's you know, if the ASBA had a bunch of $1 billion to, you know, donate to all the legislators or whatever, yeah, maybe it wouldn't be a wish list, but that's all it is. It's just a bunch of bull.
Board Member Honak, you've mentioned now the sexualization of children twice during this meeting. Can you tell me more about what you mean by that?
I could advise you to read both equity statements, the first one and the second one. Why are we celebrating gender identity in elementary school? Why are we celebrating it? Is Sam going to get up and give a thing about we're celebrating our transgender fourth graders? It's in the equity statement that you guys passed secretly on December 8th. And then again, you passed it with no discussion. And I remember board president Zidem at the time saying, what is the big rush? Well, the big rush was you all wanted to rush it through because you didn't want to have anybody, particularly Jeremy Honak, talk about it on that date, August 8th, 1921, I think. So that's exactly what it's in there. It is, and for you to ask that question is rather, well, coming from you, board member Moran, it's not astonishing at all for you to wonder why, but it's in there. Read it.
Okay.
Okay, so can you tell me more about why you're against preserving and strengthening local control?
What?
Can you tell me more about why you are against preserving and strengthening local control? You would like the legislature to be able to override the local control that we have here at the most grassroots level in our community?
I don't know. I can't really understand. I believe the legislature should have, you know, the day-to-day operation of the schools. They don't want to be involved in that. They want a board to be able to make sure that nobody's stealing money and that we have a good administrator, which I think we do now, and stuff like that, and oversight. But in terms of dictating what is essentially, you know, what are the limits of what we want? What are the overall goals for education in Arizona? I think that the legislature is a lot more qualified than the 5 people sitting up here.
Even though we were voted by the local constituents to lead this board, you think the legislature should be able to tell
Well,
us what we should be doing?
Had an election where there really was not a free election the last time. I was suppressed from talking about what kind of things that a certain board member had done illegally, and the public did not know about it. That particular person had somebody going around who got convicted of ripping down political signs. So I don't know about elections, you know, that's why I say I'm not really a big fan of everybody, you know, go take a poll, you know, of what people, because I think the average person really doesn't understand the ramifications of education and what it is going to make their kids be something that they're proud of when they get older, rather than, you know, living in the basement, you know, and stuff like that. So I don't know, whatever. I don't really want to debate with you know, I'm not on the spot here. I got nothing to prove. I got no skin in the game. I'm offering my very valuable time and taking off from it because I saw a big problem here that nobody was addressing, and I'm trying to do my best. But the ASBA, I don't know how I could make it any more clear. No, I don't think the governing board, to answer your question, is the end all. And if they have some, you know, they're all woke and believe that kids should be sexualized and explore their sexuality and stuff like that. I don't know a kid in the world that wants that, other than maybe their parents are freaks, you know? I don't think so. I think kids want to play, they want to explore, they want to, you know, learn things. And if a school is worth a dime, it's going to challenge kids to open the world of their mind, which is limitless. And that's going to be the most gratifying thing, not exploring their navel and their feelings and all that stuff. Nobody's going to hire somebody because they got such and such feelings, and nobody with feelings went and did any advancement to the human race or human culture, the human experience.
Thank you, Mr. Honak. I appreciate you having that conversation with Ms. Moran. I want to make sure we give everybody a chance to share. Ms. Clymer, did you have any more comments?
No, I do not.
Mr. Owens, did you have any more comments?
Nope.
Okay. So at this time, we need to either make a motion or not, I guess, if somebody wants to make an motion to approve it. While we're talking about this, Mr. Owens, you are supposed to be our delegate that's going for us on September 9th. So is that still your plan if we move? That is Saturday, September 9th, I believe. Yeah, Saturday, September 9th. It is on your calendar already. We talked about this before, so.
Yeah, you guys voted me that position. If you would like me to attend, I will attend. I do. I understand the role of the ASBA. I understand the role of lobbying organizations. I mentioned this last time we discussed the ASBA. Probably a lot of people don't know this about my background is I spent 2 years as a policy advisor for the governor of Arizona. And I met with multiple lobbyists. I met with legislators. I worked with the Joint Legislative Budget Committee, JLBC, that actually puts the budget together. They're the ones that take every piece of legislation that's proposed, that's passed, that's signed into law to determine how to fund everything. They take Department of Education, they take the Department of Veterans Affairs, they take all the state agencies and they figure out how to budget, how to balance a budget. And it's money from here, and they figure out how it all works. And so I mentioned this earlier, in a vacuum, all of these things, for the most part, on this wish list are amazing. They sound great. Our job is to educate our children to the best of our ability, and having a blank check to do that would probably accomplish that goal. But that's not the case. And so for me, I think it would be beneficial for me, honestly, to go and be our representative to see how it works, to see the discussion, be a part of it. But at the end of the day, again, when the legislature convenes next January and bills are proposed and introduced, and this legislator wants this, and this is the legislator that's advocating for this, there's a big picture that comes into play. And so I'm just interested to see how it works. So I would like to go and be the representative.
Well, that's one thing we can move forward with, but we need to make sure we have something for you to go forward with. So at this,
Okay, I would like to make a motion.
wonderful. Please go ahead.
I move to approve the ASBA draft 2024 political agenda as presented and direct Board Member Owens to be our delegate and learn more about the process.
I will second.
Can we split that into 2 votes?
We've already voted for Ryan to be the delegate.
Well, yeah, Ryan is already.
It's already, okay.
So
good.
basically the motion is just saying that he will go and carry out what the board decides here. So, okay, having a motion in a second, I will call for the vote. Ms. Moran,
Yay.
Mr. Owens.
May I explain my vote?
Yes.
So my yay vote is an adoption of this without amendments, as is, not necessarily an endorsement, and then a yay for me to attend.
Okay. Mr. Honak,
I'm a nay.
Ms. Clymer,
Yay.
I am a yay, so the motion passes. And we look forward to hearing what you learn when you go. Next up on the agenda is going to be more discussion and hopefully approval of the instructional time model remote learning continuation for the 23-24 school year. And this is going to be by Mrs. Benjamin.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the governing board. This is a very similar presentation that I brought last time we were together. However, I took your feedback and I was able to update slide 9. So I wanted to know, would you like me to move forward with presenting the entire thing or just the updated pieces?
Ms. Moran, did you want her to just go over the change stuff? or
Update is great. Update, please.
Owens? Yes, okay.
Yes, updates.
We're just gonna do that. Sounds good.
All right. So the instructional time model is the focus on the remote learning as needed only. We are wanting to make sure that we have options for students and for our staff as needed. So we're going to get to slide 9. Whoops, I tried to get to the very end already. What makes qualifying events for the instructional time model? We are going to say that our admin cabinet came together and it is going to be student safety concern. Students unable to attend school due to illness, 5 days or more. We did put those 5 days in there because if a child has a hospitalization or there's a reason that they're out, then we could have them go on to this instructional time model. But we do know that the most important thing is that they're in school learning with their teacher, as well as a district or site level event or decision that impacts student attendance, such as a power outage, a water main break, a loss of heating, something that is the district has to solve the problem because it was something that happened on our time. The following would not be considered a qualifying event, which would be a family vacation or extended stay out of the country. So that was the update. Hopefully I was able to capture what you guys were asking for, which was providing a little bit more clarity around what this could be utilized for. And that really is the only thing that changed this entire presentation. So are there any questions about it?
Ms. Moran, did you have any questions about those changes?
No questions.
Mr. Owens?
Yeah, sorry, I was distracted.
That's okay.
So it's 5 days. Was it 3 days last time?
It was 3 days last time and we talked through that and we said, what would the difference be? And we felt like 5 days really, if there was something that a student was not just the fever, but there was something else going on that would be important that they would need to do that would meet that need. We can change it back to 3 days, but as a cabinet, we felt that 5 days was reasonable for that type of thing. We also looked at the data that was present from before, and we rarely had students utilizing this unless it was a much longer time frame out.
I remember I got an email. Like right after the meeting, last time. Sorry, find it.
While you're looking for
No, I
that.
found it.
Oh,
Sorry.
perfect.
Last year, my daughter had strep, missed 3 days of school. A few weeks later, she had influenza A and missed 5 days of school. I don't know, 5 seems kind of like a lot. I remember being sick and not missing like 5 days, 3 or 4, or you're going into the weekend. I don't want to nitpick and obviously micromanage or whatever, but I think a 3 to 5 jump's kind of significant, but
Okay.
that's just my opinion.
Mr. Honak, did you have any questions or comments about this change?
No, no questions. I'm sorry.
Ms. Clymer?
No questions, maybe just a comment, or maybe just a discussion point to Mr. Owens, the 3 to 5 days. Actually, this is a question, Ms. Benjamin, I'm sorry. So this doesn't preclude teachers, right? I mean, we have Google Classroom, we have so many opportunities for
Correct.
students to stay connected. Parents can pick up things in the front office. So if they are absent, let's say 3 or 4 days, just based off of this, all of those opportunities are still available. They can still be connected if they wanted to. They're just not going specifically onto Edgenuity and doing full lessons. So they still have opportunity to stay involved if they're physically able to during the illness for 3 or 4 days. It's really just on that fifth day, the edgenuity piece would kick in, and then they would have full day or whatever lessons
Well-
until they were able to be back.
That is correct. And edgenuity could be in sooner. So if a student went with strep throat and the doctor said they need to be out for 5
Mhm.
days, or the family called and said that my child has the flu, they will be out for 5 days, we could start that on day one. It doesn't have to be at the fifth day.
Okay.
Yeah, so, sorry, are you
Yeah.
still going? I guess that's kind of where I'm confused too. So like, if I get sick, how do I know I'm gonna be out 5 days? And then on 5 days, it's like, oh, cool, I've been out for 5 days, now I get it. You can't go retroactive,
Right.
right? So you
So-
basically have to know you're gonna be sick for 5 days.
Students are still able to be absent. It would still be an eligible absent. The parent would call them in. So they are not losing those days. They still can make up all of their work. It is a part of our practice and our policy that students can make up work and turn that in, that they would not be penalized for any
Oh,
of
I would
that.
hope, I would hope not, yeah.
Yeah, no, not at all. So this is really just that the district is getting funding for the child and that they could go on to Edgenuity or that practice. So we also didn't want to make it look like we were trying to make money off of sick children at the same time of using this instructional time model.
Yeah, but we could. And I don't think there's anything, we were before, I mean,
Right.
early, like last week, 2 weeks ago, we were going to make money off of 3-day illnesses, right? Like, oh, because you have COVID,
Yeah.
we're gonna give you, it's gonna be a 3-day absence. Now it's like, cool, my kid just got sick. I know they're gonna be out. Let's start it. And it's not, again, like trying to make the money, but
Right.
I think 3 days COVID, all of a sudden 5 days, anything seems to
If
be
you
an
would
aggressive.
like to make a motion and change it to 3 days, we could vote on that right now, if that's what you would prefer. Please do.
Governing board members, just to remember, and using the data that Ms. Benjamin presented before, very few students had to take advantage of this situation last year. I would think that that would remain true this year. This opportunity, as Ms. Benjamin presented on slide 9, is for large situations, big issues. In some cases, Mr. Owen, students with chronic health needs. So
Yeah.
these are situations that are beyond the scope of of the situation that Ms. Benjamin described, where a student would have access to
Yeah.
a classroom, to their homework, to the notes that a teacher may keep, those type of things. So I just want to make sure
Yeah.
we're clear on that. This is when something is definitely needed, and it either it could be large scale, as we talked about, where you're having to move an entire school student body, but really it could be for a student who's simply just unhealthy for an extended period of time outside of 3 days, whatever those days are at this
Yeah,
time. So-
I totally get that. You know, so chronic illness, right? Say you get sick on a Tuesday and then you're back on Monday, that's 4 days, right? And also you just mentioned it doesn't happen that often, right? So what's the harm of doing 3? I don't know. If nobody else wants 3, then we'll keep it at 5, but
I have a question. Last year, when we would set students up on Ingenuity, how many of them actually did the stuff on there?
Very few. So out of a total, we had a lot of options and we had 210 students that were eligible. And I would say only half of those actually participated in Edgenuity of those 210 that would get the email, get the information.
Okay, and so were the rest of those kids just making up the work from their classroom potentially, or?
They were, and they would have been considered absent.
Okay, so if they didn't do the Edgenuity stuff, they were still considered absent anyways?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Honak, did you, you didn't have, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just had, I don't know. I understand Mr. Owen's comment about like, what's the difference between 3 and 5? I guess I keep going back to, not that there's a lot of kids absence for 3 or 4 days, but this should be a last case scenario. Like, we don't want to encourage kids that have the flu or whatever that are going to be out 3 days and then jump right back in to go this route. And I feel like the lower we make that number, the more attractive it might look to families, when in fact, we really don't want them going this route, because coming back to school and engaging with your teachers and making up those lessons and doing all of that is probably the better way to go, even if it is just 3 or 4 days. I mean, I know as a parent, watching your child be at home sick and fall behind is frustrating. So I understand that side of it too. I just think the lower we make that number, I think the more parents are going to feel like they need to have their kid jump on at day 3 when from what I'm hearing from you and the people that discuss this, that's just not necessary. Like 5 days or more for a chronic absence is a bigger deal is really what's required. So the more we lower it, the more likely we are to have people to feel like they have to use it, which I don't think is what we want.
Ms. Moran, did you have questions or comments?
My comment would be, I'm a meet in the middle person, so I'm hearing 3, I'm hearing 5. District administration, what would your thoughts be on making it 4 days and kind of coming to a compromise on that?
Ms. Moran, this is Dr. Davidson. I don't think as a cabinet, we're stuck on a certain amount of days. I just want to highlight that the lower the days, it really lessens why we're here talking about this, because this is not a substitute for quality instruction or opportunities to interact with the classroom instructor. Ingenuity is not, it's a supplemental product that we would hope our families and our students didn't have to use. We want them to network with their different teachers and work with their principals at the school site. So I just think we need to be mindful of that. Again, this is for a student in crises or a community in crises. It's a safety net. We do not at all believe that Edgenuity as the option would at all come close to the instruction our students get in the classroom.
Okay, so Mr. Owens, you're the one that's concerned about this, and I was concerned about it too, making sure that it could be all illnesses and not just COVID before. And I'm glad that we're making sure that that's the case, which is my understanding actually was the case before potentially. But can you be okay with 5, understanding why they are saying that, or do you want to change it to a different number?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the original presentation, I had an issue with it just being the COVID related, right? Like,
Yes.
why is that different?
Absolutely.
But also now it's like, cool, it's any illness, but we're moving it from 3 to 5. So I get it. I understand. And maybe I'm going to defer to you. You're the superintendent that we hired to do this job. So we're going to rely on your decision-making. I don't think that I need to change it if you think it's what's best, but hopefully it's not an issue. And if it is, we'll get feedback. And if we need to address it and change it, hopefully we can. But right now, as long as it's not as long as it's not strictly COVID related, and this is what you think's best, we'll go forward with it.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I will move to approve the instructional time model, remote learning continuation as presented.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Moran,
Yay.
Mr. Owens,
Yay.
Mr. Honak,
Yay.
Ms. Clymer.
Yay.
I'm also a yay. The motion passes. Okay, we are going to move on to our reports. We're going to start with Superintendent Davidson.
All right. Thank you, President Zaidama, and members of the board, community out there listening to us, and those present here with us as well. We have finished day 2 with students, and that's exciting. We have been working hard as a team. That includes all of our administrators at our sites as well, really to prepare for yesterday. And it's been amazing. Before I dig into a few other things, I want to just start off by saying on behalf of the engagement of our governing board, certainly appreciate all of your different responses and those that can attend the events. That's great to have you out there with our staff, but also we have a board member tonight who is leading from the dais on her birthday. So I just want to give a public shout out to President Zaidama. Thank you for doing that and being here with us tonight. So appreciate you and your leadership up there. So thank you. Also, this is the first official board meeting for our new governing board secretary and my right-hand person, Ms. Kim Contra. So Kim, thank you for joining us tonight. Yeah, she's busy typing, but on behalf of the work that our team is doing, what we want to just highlight is that, and hopefully you get feedback on that, that we're about customer service, that we're trying to provide what our schools need to make our students and our families have success. So we're trying to be responsive as a team and ensuring that, again, our kids are having that best first day, second day school year as possible. With that said, though, just being honest, it's not all rainbows and sunshine as I look at the rainbows behind you there. We know that we do have continual needs in our transportation department. And I say that because our community obviously will afford us grace, but I also want our team as a whole to know Mr. Williams is working hard alongside Mr. Stone to build up that team. And as you know, we're working with our FRIA, so we're developing partnerships. And it really highlights what Mr. Nuwana said earlier, that we're all in this together and we recognize that. So I just wanted to make certain our governing board and our community knows that we know that's an area of need for us, and we're going to continue to problem solve as best we can. With that, I'll tie in just the work of our community partners as we move into this new year, whether that's the city of Goodyear, our Pebble Creek Rotary Group, CCV Verado, the Litchfield Park Kiwanis Club has been a huge asset to, in particular, Litchfield Elementary. So we just know that everybody's working hard on behalf of our students and within our community. So thank you for your support, and we got a lot of work to still do. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we are going to move on to reports from the governing board members. I will start with Ms. Moran.
Thank you, President Zaidama. Happy birthday. In the last month, it has been really busy. I was able to attend the special meeting that we had on July 25th, and then we kind of get into all the back to school events. So on July 28th, I attended the new teacher induction, and I was very impressed with our recruiting and hiring efforts that resulted in amazing teachers that we have. Some are new to the profession, some are just new to Litchfield. But it's amazing what we've been able to do during this teacher shortage. So welcome to all of our new educators to the Litchfield family. I was also able to attend the open house at Western Sky Middle School. I have attended open houses in this district as a parent for 17 years. And this was my last open house as a parent, which is a pro and a con. I am super excited, though, for the great things to come in this school year. I saw some amazing things on campus, some changes, some improvements, and I'm really excited for Western Sky this year. I was also able to attend the back to school lunch at L. Thomas Heck with teachers and staff from Dreaming Summit, Barbara Roby, Corte Sierra, and L. Thomas Heck. We sampled the delicious food courtesy of our food service department. Thank you to Chef Ron. And my favorite part of the luncheon was cheering on our team members as they entered the building. They don't get enough applause and appreciation, so it was a real treat to be able to show our gratitude. And Board Member Clymer and President Zaidama were there along with Dr. Davidson and a bunch of district admins. So it was a really fun day of celebration. But the common thread and theme that I noticed, both stated in words and unstated just in actions at all of these events, is support. Support for students, support for teachers, support for colleagues, support for families. And sometimes asking for support is hard, but no one can read your mind. So if you need something, please ask. We want to support your success. So I'm going to close with lyrics from Bill Withers' classic, Lean on Me. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. But before I turn the microphone back over to whoever President Zaidama has next on her list, I would like to take just a moment, if everyone would join me in singing happy birthday to President Zaidama. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, President Zaidama. Happy birthday to you.
Pam, I don't know if you can see her, but her face is genuinely red.
Love it. Happy birthday.
Okay, on that note, Mr. Owens, would you like to give your report?
Yeah, I think everybody should thank Board Member Moran because I was just going to solo it for you. So thank you. No, I just want to take this time to welcome all the teachers back, the students back, new students, first time, kindergartners, preschoolers, first, all that stuff. You know, in sports, you have game days and you train and you practice and all that stuff. And for teachers, it's continuing education, prep work. For the faculty administration, it's all those things too. And game day for us is Monday through Friday for like 175 days, right? So
180.
I should probably know that. But anyway, but I just want to, you know, this is why we do what we do. This is why we're here. Every day, these school doors open and they welcome kids in. And it's our job to educate them. And it's our job for these teachers who, you know, pour their heart and soul into making sure that the kids feel safe and welcome and deal with all the emotions that children deal with from all grade levels and the different experiences and things that they go through, and then still try to make sure that they learn. And so I just want to welcome everybody back. I'm looking forward to a good school year. I'm so happy with the things that we've seen in the last few months with the new administration. So I'm just looking forward to a lot more of that. Thanks.
Mr. Honak?
Thank you. I don't have much of a report. I'm so busy. This is my really busy time of the year, but my report is what's been going on in my mind. And what's been going on in my mind is that I'm looking over here and congratulations to everyone. We have a new administration. We had some great people before. We had some other type of people, but I see stuff going on that's really good, and it's not, you know, anything coming from the board. It's coming from you guys are really you're changing this place in ways that are needed. And as for the first couple of days, my short life of 75 and a half years, I've done a lot of projects. Okay. When a project starts perfectly, you better watch out. Okay. So, you know, you guys are doing it right. And even with the you know, the transportation, you didn't even inherit a transportation department that was functional. So you're starting from scratch. So I just say kudos, congratulations, but don't rest on your laurels. I want to see a lot more. Okay. So no sleeping, you know, just work. No, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much.
I don't think they sleep based on how often I keep running into Dr. Davidson everywhere. So Ms. Clymer.
Sure. I will try to keep my board report focused on the beginning of school, because while we are still working over the summer, as Ryan puts it, like this is our game day, right? You know, day one. So along with some other board members, I attended the new teacher induction right here in this cafeteria. And I've done it for many years, and it's one of the best times of the year. I say that about a lot of things, I know, but it really does feel that way because, to Ms. Moran's point earlier, these people may be new to the profession. They may just be new to Litchfield, but they are excited to be here, and they are dedicated, and they are looking for ways to engage and provide excellent customer service to their teammates and our families and their students. And it's really exciting to see a room full of people, despite all that is going on in the media and the teacher shortage and all of the things that we hear about, the terrible things going on in public education. These people still choose every day to get up and to do this, and to do it with pride and self-respect. So thank you for inviting me to that. It's always really impactful to me personally. I also was part of the Spirit Line at L. Thomas Heck for our back to school luncheon. So thank you to all of you sitting at that table over there, because you guys, again, show up day after day, and being able to celebrate our teachers, provide them with a really tasty lunch, by the way. I hope that is what our kids get fed every day, Chef Ron, because it was delicious. I had the Mexican, by the way, although I heard the Chinese was awesome. And just to be able to see everybody sort of in a relaxed environment and sort of celebrating the wins even before the first day started was really enjoyable. But my favorite part might have been this morning when I was invited to one of our elementary schools, and somehow Dr. Davidson and I was stationed at the front gate by the kindergarten and preschool classrooms. And evidently on day one, parents get to walk kindergartners to their classroom, but on day two, right, they're on their own, right? They've got to stop at the gate. They got to wave to mom and dad, quick hug, and then walk to the classroom. And not one tear, not one meltdown, not one, I don't want to do this, to take me home. Everybody was excited. And while they were a little nervous, couldn't remember where their classroom was, everybody jumped into action, and every adult there was literally there to just pour love into these kids. And it was a great way to start my morning. So thank you for that opportunity to do that. I just wanted to say, as everyone has said, how grateful I am to our district administrators for working so hard this summer to complete a transition. For many of you, you are sitting in a new chair, doing a new job, potentially at a new district. And that's a lot of change all at the same time. And you guys have really handled it gracefully. And I appreciate that as someone who certainly amongst these 5 up here have lost sleep at night over worrying about how this transition was going to go. And did we provide enough support? And did we hire the right people? And did we do all of the right things? Clearly we did. So congratulations to us for hiring you guys, this winning team, and letting us sleep at night. But last thank you is to our teachers, school administrators, staff of all levels, parents and students for preparing for this year, for showing up with your best selves this week to start the year on a positive note, and for showing grace when things don't go exactly as planned. They never do. And as Mr. Honeck said, if they start out perfect, something's probably wrong. So I tell you, we're going to have the best year ever. Right? We've had a couple of hurdles and we've tackled every single one of them. So kudos to you guys, and congratulations to all of our new preschool and kindergarten Litchfield learners, because they're just starting their journey. And it's going to be an exciting one.
Thank you. I will go next. I can't believe our last regular meeting was only 3 weeks ago, because I feel like I've been doing something every day. Literally the day after our last meeting, I was able to attend the admin kickoff. Thank you, CCV Verado, for working with us on getting the space and then providing all the coffee drinks for all of the members that were in attendance that day. I tried a chai latte for the first time. It was pretty delicious. So thank you to them for doing that. It was a great event. Nothing is better than that first beginning, when we're coming back, energy that you get from your staff, that you get from your students and your parents. Like, parents are like sad, but super also excited to drop their kids off and have them go back to school. And then all the teachers, they're all excited. So same thing, I was able to attend that new teacher induction, and it's a crazy thing that we are now hiring people I remember when they were students here in this district, and now they're teaching for us. And I think it's a great testament to this district that we had so many people there. Actually, I asked how many people were students here and are now teaching here, and there was quite a few hands. That's a testament to what this district did for them and how they want to come back and pour into students here based on what they got from us here. So I'm excited for that to happen. I was able to attend our back to school lunches at Western Sky and Thomas Heck. And yes, the best part was our little tunnel we did, our Spirit Fingers tunnel for all the teachers. It's great that we are part of an elementary district, because we get to be silly with them, I think, in a way that maybe the high school people are a little too cool for that. But we had people that wanted to go through on their own and made everybody wait. So they got to have their own tunnel, and it was super cute. So that was a fun day. I was able to attend Meet the Teacher Nights at both Wigwam Creek Middle School and Rancho Santa Fe, as I have a middle schooler and an elementary school student. And those both went really well. They were very well attended. Lots of parents were there. There was lots of staff out getting everybody where they needed to go and knowing what they needed to do. At that Meet the Teacher Night for Rancho, I was able to sign up for the PTSA, which I plug for every parent out there. Please sign up for your parent group at your campus. Those parent groups do incredible things for your students. And the more parents they have sign up, the more things they're able to do for those students. They bring a lot of extra fun things to the campuses that the students just wouldn't have otherwise. So please, please, please support your parent groups on your campuses. And another plug, if you are a parent group that's a PTA or PTSA, I know that's a membership organization where your numbers for your membership really matters. So I'm willing to sign up to be a member and help you reach any membership goals you have. So any parent group that's looking to up their membership numbers, please send me a membership form or a link and I will sign up to become a member. I'm also willing to volunteer at schools. I love to help out at schools. I have kids obviously in 3 different schools in the area, but anytime I'm able to help, I do. I've had many schools that took me up on it last year. So if you have events going on and you're looking for volunteers, please, please, please reach out. And if I'm available, I am always happy to help out. Some other things that have gone on is I was able to attend I was able to be at transportation yesterday morning on our very first day when we're kicking off and going to get our kids. And transportation, those bus drivers and the bus monitors are so important to everything that we do with our students. They are the first faces our kids see of our staff when they're going to school in the morning, and it can really set the tone for the whole day for those students. So I am so appreciative of everybody that chooses to work for us and drive our students and be monitors on our buses and make sure that our kids get their morning started off right before they get to school. And yes, there were some hiccups. I mean, I'm a parent that also has kids that rides the bus, and I had my own hiccups, but I am very understanding, and I'm hoping that our parents are going to have some grace and understanding this first week as we work through the kinks and work through our new routes and all that stuff, that it'll take some time, but that it will get better as we go through that and we improve and get better. So just please keep that in mind this week if you're feeling frustrated that it's temporary, but we do have bus drivers and we are able to get our kids to school. And as they figure out the routes, it will be faster and they will do it better and more efficiently. And then we won't have these headaches. So I am appreciative of our staff at the transportation department for all of the hard work they put in. We had to have a special meeting to do the IGA with Agua Fria just before school started. And I'm so thankful to our administration and the transportation, especially our director of transportation, for coming up with that plan when we didn't know what we were going to do. So now we are able to have all of our kids ride a bus. We're not having to tell parents that routes are getting canceled. We're not having to tell parents, oh, you don't live close enough to this, you live too close to the school now, and it's going to be a farther distance. So your kids are going to have to walk, you're going to have to figure it out. So thank you to everyone that put in that time to make that happen, and very quick turnaround to make sure that our kids had what they needed. Lastly, I was able to attend Dreaming Summit this morning. I was able to pop in there and say hi to their principal, and she showed me their new cafeteria where they did all this painting, and it looked so bright and fresh in there. So I appreciated getting to do that. It looks fantastic. Just thank you to everybody that's choosing Litchfield, our staff and our families. Everybody that's here is choosing to be here, and we appreciate you. We appreciate that you choose to put your kids here. I know that I believe this is the best place for kids to be. That's why my kids go here. And I think that we have incredible staff. And so thank you to the people that choose to come work here and be those incredible staff members to fill our students every day. And with that, I'm going to be done. We did get our reports from our administrators, and we are so thankful that you guys put those together for us every month and that we're able to know what's going on. So thank you so much for taking time to put those reports together from us. We did have one from every single campus this time. I was super excited. So thank you to everybody that puts those together for us. With that, we are done with our reports. And the next thing is we are going to move into executive session. So we're going to have to, we're going to be having our executive session here, which is a new way we're doing it. So we are actually going to have to ask people that are not part of our executive session to leave the room. And then if you want to hang out outside, you can and come back in when we're done. Otherwise, thank you guys for